Hello, everyone on Facebook, and welcome to this week's Academy of Animated Art live lighting critique. My name is Mike Tanzillo, and I am here to go through all of the work that has been submitted over the week. So if you are, the same deal as always, if you're on Facebook, make sure you leave your notes in the comments down below. If you are on Zoom, you can leave them in the chat window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the submissions from this week. We have a total of a lot of images. I think there were a total of like 40 images submitted, and then one video. So we'll go through the video first. Hey Dana, how's it going? We'll go through the video first, and then we'll deal with the, and then we'll go after the individual images as well. I apologize for being a couple minutes late here. I was trying to set up, you can actually kind of see it maybe. I was trying to set up a new fancy camera, but it did not work. So you're on my old MacBook regular webcam here. So you're gonna have to deal with that for another week. But hopefully soon I will be able to have a much better video feed than what we have so far. Okay, so like I said, hey Jonah, Dana, all right, cool. If you guys have, like I said, questions, throw them in the comments window. I wanna do Yvonne's demo reel that he put in the video first, and then I'll go through the individual images. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. If at any point during this presentation, because I have a tendency to do this, knock my microphone out because I gesture a lot with my hands, please scream at me so I will make sure to get that plugged back in. I was recording a critique video for our students the other day, and it was like a half-hour long. Hello, Asha, how's it going? And what I did was I knocked out the microphone about halfway through, so I was only, so it was just a lot of me in the window gesturing a lot for half the video and I had to re-record it. So that's that. All right, Yvonne Manuel Benitez Sanz, this is your lighting and compositing reel. So starting off with the title card, it is looking pretty good. I would like for your name to be a little bit bigger. Lighting and compositing demo reel. This is a pretty color scheme with the slight gradient back here. You don't need all of this information here. I would make these two bigger and then put just like your email address. No one's going to manually type in yvonnemanuel9.wixsite.com. Like you'll be able to include that in a link. I would just put like your email address. And then in terms of software, you can put it if you want, but like I said, or like we usually tell people, I usually don't pay attention to software when I'm looking at demo reels because that's not what I care about. I care about the artwork that you're creating. So I was just saying this to somebody today. I've been in a ton of demo reel reviews, and never once has somebody said, hey, I wonder, no one's ever like, man, that looks really cool. I wonder what software they used. It's always 100% of the time been, like it just never comes up. It's all about the artwork that's being produced. Because we know that we have to teach you proprietary softwares and proprietary techniques when you come into the studio. So just a side note on that. That's a little off topic. Okay, so your very first shot, my first impression of your work. There are a few things that are going on here that are problematic. So I noticed some like first pass through. Number one, there's some like flickering down in here. Do you see that? And it's just like, it caught my eye the very first time. There's just a lot of weird edges. And like, because it kind of draws my eye down here. And I noticed that like, if I look around this bush and like this edge, there's just like a lot of strange edging going on. And that's, and also there's like a weird pop down in here. Cause like, it's like the lights are popping on and off there. So something weird is going on. I like the little bit of subsurface scattering you're getting here. I think that's really nice. But the biggest thing overall is just like, there's a lot going on and not all of it is really helping tell the story. So there's like a lot of like fog and haze over the top, and really the only dark values are like here, but even those are being super lifted by this volumetric kind of smoke, haze, fog thing that's going on here. And while I like diffusion and while I like that stuff, it's a little bit strong. And then also when the dinosaur turns her head this way, you can see it's like super bright and blown out there. So but I like the overall setup of, you know, you play the shot through once all the way, and then you kind of go through, or almost all the way, and then you do a breakdown and let it finish out. You can also see some noise kind of happening back here around the hip. So look, and so here's the positive part. And looking at your breakdown, like there's good structure here, right? There's shaping on the character. There's some gobo happening across the back here. There's kind of some structure with this plant in the foreground framing up your image a little bit. And then like all this stuff looks pretty good in through here, but and like even here again, like the subsurface is looking really nice. This color correction or whatever happens here, you kind of lose some of the nice qualities of the render. It starts to, like, everything kind of starts to get overly saturated here, and kind of toned down in a way where there were some nice brights in this region. And like, you know, looking here, like this is bright, and then there's some like variation in here. And the second that you start to tone it down, like the variation kind of goes away, but the brights are still there, but now they're just like clamped off. They didn't get rolled off nicely. And then you've got this haze that kind of overtakes all of the image. And then really, and actually it's not, and then this final thing, the final pass of all that kind of blue haze over top is hurting you more than it's helping you. So this shot, this is kind of a fun one. I would let the shot play through a little bit more, just because like the man who walks into the room, I barely see him before we go into a breakdown. And like, I'm not quite sure what we're building towards. And the same thing with, there's actually a couple of the same issues here where like going through the breakdown, let's see if we can get to it. So like right here, he actually looks better here than he does here. And like now he just looks a little bit sunburnt, and a little bit toned down, but also like there's hard shadows going on here that aren't helping him too much. And I like the structure of what you're building here, like the woman in this light and the man kind of coming in, and you know, it's a good kind of 1-2 punch of directing the viewer's eye. This lighting at the end feels very, very flat. Like, I guess there's a big panel over top, but like he looks very grayed out, very desaturated. Like his skin goes from like too overly warm to kind of washed out. And I would like to see a little bit more warmth in him, and a little bit more shaping on the characters as a whole. Like she doesn't really have any, she has this little bit of a rim light on the back of her, but I'd really like to see some more light on her face. And then also like screens are tricky for lighters. You're gonna want to, especially here, like they're taking too much of the light as opposed to what they do is emit light. So they're not gonna be as red as this. They're still gonna glow their natural color. And actually their color won't change too much when the lights come on. They'll kind of look like this the whole time. So I would put that back in there. And in terms of lighting structure, I like that him coming in. So there's some nice, good variation and fall off across here. I want, like, okay, so the light's clearly coming in there. So let's go ahead and get some light on more light on his face. So it kind of lights him up and shapes him up this way. Allow that light to be a little bit softer than that. And for her, I like the top-down lighting, but it's also like the light is behind her at this point, but there's so much blue light on her face. I would really like it to be rimmed up and then allow her to be like bounced up from the secondary light there. Yeah, and then this image here, again, same deal. Just make sure you play it first before you do the breakdown, because I don't know where we're or the build up, because I don't know where we're building up to. The lighting rig on this one, the lighting setup on this one is a little odd to me, because it's like, okay, I can see outside and I can see that it's very dark. And I can see that like these window lights, which should be kind of bright, are kind of flat and grayed out. So I'm like, okay, it's a dark night outside. But then all of a sudden I've got a large amount of light coming in this way that's very saturated and so strong it's actually causing like a light haze. And so I don't know what this is coming from because it's very, very different than what we're seeing outside this window. And then he's getting hit almost frontally from light this way. So there's going to be light back behind us because it's almost like he's getting brighter blue light than he is, and he's closer to the light source, the window, and the light would fall off as it goes across. So I think you need to determine if this light source over here back behind him is the key, the strongest one, or this one coming in the window. Because again, there's an issue of, so this light is so strong that it's creating this beautiful, like really nice kind of halo-y glow around the edge of his hair and the subsurface scattering on his nose, but we're not seeing any of it on the wall here. It almost feels like the wall's painted black at this point. So I would just work on that, and then we're kind of missing some contact shadow down here on the bed. And then this last shot, so I'm looking at this one and I'm like, okay, this is same deal. You want to play it first and then do the build up. Cause I'm like, I'm here and I'm like, okay, this is looking really cool. And that's better. I like that haze over it. Okay, that's better. That looks cool. Ooh, I like this, like, this lens effect over top. All right, let's see what we got. And then it starts to animate and it fades to black. I didn't feel like I really got it. I don't feel like I got the payoff there. So this is your best shot by far. And so you should put this one first and allow it to play all the way through once and then break it down. Because this is like the shot that, like, I'm just like, all right, cool. This guy, each layer kind of adds to something. The only thing I would take out this scatter, like base pass. So you either want these to be buildups or breakdowns, and you want to kind of tell a story, right? So like you want this to be just like, either your base render or just one light, and then you add lights, add, make it your final. But what's happening here is it's kind of like, okay, this is like, okay, it's kind of like a spec pass, and then this is like a diffuse pass, and then this is like scatter, and this is a more different scatter, and this is like the base render, I guess, and then, that's the light glow, and then, okay, now it makes sense. Now we're building up, which is another thing. Maybe you should add labels to what's actually happening, but you really want it to be a buildup. So start from nothing, and then it's an additive process. So one thing, then one thing, then one thing, and that's how you get the final image. So, yeah, but I wanted to start with that one because I thought that could really not only benefit you, I hope you got some good tips out of that and things that you can use in order to adjust and make some improvements. And I hope that others found that useful as well. Okay, so let me just hop back over to, hey, Nicholas. Hello, Fran. How's everybody doing? Okay, so now I want to go back. Actually, there's one other, yes. Abhishek posted this breakdown of his alley scene, and I just wanted to show this one as well as another video. So again, clean titles. This is fine, all good. And okay, so in the final image, I just want to see a little bit less saturation in these in the lamp glows. I think you can come down a little bit on that, and also make the far background a little bit darker. Seeing it fully in HD and looking big and beautiful, I see some dark points in these plants that are much darker than the building itself. So I would just tone down the building just a little bit to match that. But in terms of your breakdown, I know in my demo reel, Ask Me Anything on Wednesday, I said, just kind of use cuts, but these wipes are actually kind of nice. So I'm going to back off of that one a little bit and just say that the wipes are good. I like that you labeling down here. I think this is good pacing of your buildup. The one thing, and I like that you finished it with a little bit of a pan in here. The one thing that I would do differently is I would do start with this, and then again, same thing, we want to build up and so I guess that's the color correction. Oh, it's dome key. Maybe, but it feels like the dome, I feel like it got darker, right? Do the dome, and then add the key to it. Don't show them separately, show them together. And then put those on, and then hold off on these lamp glows until the end, because like do all the render stuff first and then do the compositing stuff at the end. And usually the glows happen last. So then do the, do the lamp bulbs, then do the fills, then do the road, then do the windows, BG, the color corrections. That's great. And then add the glows. That's how I would do that. And then these shadows too. Like again, a couple things weren't as visible when we're looking at low res. These shadows are a little bit heavy here. So I'd lighten those. And then you can kind of see this between your fill and your key light. I would just, so like your dome light, everything's kind of like, this is a little bit darker than this. And I'm looking at these walls. And then this is now brighter than this. And then when you kind of add them together at the end, well, and this is a common thing with this scene, is I would just make this wall darker so that you can see, like, it just creates more depth in the space. So it's like, if there's a bigger value difference between these 1, 2, 3s, then it feels like there's more separation and a greater sense of space there. But that one's very good as well. Okay, now let's get into this. So I've been starting these, call them like the Wheel of Fortunes, to get to somebody first. Actually, you know what? No, I'm lying. Let's do this. Let's see who's here. Let's take care of the people who are live on the session right now. Move this out of the way. All right. Oh, I can't get to it. Sorry, my Zoom menu is in the way here. There we go. Get that out of the way. Okay. So we have Jonah and Asha and Fran and Nicholas are here. And I feel like there was, yeah. Okay. I feel like there's somebody else here too, but it's being hidden. And then, oh, somebody's over here on Zoom. We got Mr. Lopez is here. Oh, the whole gang's back together. Okay, cool. All right. So let's start. You know what? Let's start with Juan. So I was taking a look. Oh, you're cheating there. So I was looking at, you've got 2 submissions here. And I wanted to start with this one. So I really, really like this setup. And I think it's going in the right direction. I was playing around with this before. And the one thing that I really think you can do to improve this, well, there's 2 things. One is this tree and the birds here in the middle can go a little bit brighter. So I just kind of mocked that up. I think you can push that a little bit more. And then the other one is there should be a little bit of light bouncing up onto the surface here, this edge. Like there's some darks on that edge that feel a little bit strong, and it feels like if the light was bouncing off the surface, it would kind of fill that in a little bit. So just a little more contribution there on the edge. And I was trying to play around with this guy a little bit, and maybe just like a little bit more bounce on him, because his fur is looking, depends on how you want him to feel. If you want him to feel like pure and good, you want to fill that in just a little bit more. But I think this one's coming together quite nicely. This one too, I think this is a good start. The one thing about it is I would try and add a little bit more contrast to the background, because she's got a really nice, like, strong key to fill ratio, but the background looks pretty, it doesn't feel like the same sun that hits her is hitting back there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because again, this is just, it's like clearly a backplate. But I would just push that. And then the other thing that I would do, just go ahead and do this to her. I would do a couple things to her. Number one is I would make her a little bit brighter, a little more contrasty, and then just kind of bring up her midtones a little bit. And then I'm feeling like there's too much cool influence on her. So I would almost, or I would want to bring up the warm values in this a little bit and take out some of the greens. I'm going to take this away here. And I feel like she's falling into place nicely at that level. So like from there to here. I feel like that could be a good spot for her. Because she's just feeling warm and happy in the sunlight and on the beach, where we all very much want to be right now. So I hope you found those helpful. And okay, let's move on to, I saw Asha was here. Let's go to Asha's here. So Asha, we have a Mr. Bean. I'm so glad you're excited to learn RenderMan. I think that's very cool. So let's start with the black and white one first. So this reference classic movie monster Frankenstein from, I believe it was the 20s. Which, by the way, if you've never read the Frankenstein book, I read it recently. It's very different than the movie portrayal and much more, it's very good. Mary Shelley was an excellent writer, so I would recommend reading that. Total side note. Okay, so lots of contrast here. Obviously, the light kind of coming up from beneath. And very harsh shadows, very small light source. So let's see how well that translates here. So yeah, so yours is a little bit softer, but you're definitely getting, you're still getting those like harsh shadows. So I think that's actually working out pretty well. I would like to see more shaping in the ears if you can, like, because it's so, like this is so bright here. And I feel like it might actually be a little bit too bright in comparison to this. I mean, it's kind of clipping out here, but I think it's like if I just saw this on its own, I'd be like, yeah, those are feeling a little bit bright there. But I like the shaping that we're getting out of all this. And I would really like to see that kind of translate up into the ears here. And then a little bit of a tighter speck on the hair. This is kind of a broad specular highlight for as small of a light as we're going to get. You can see some nice speck hits there, but I would want to see it up in here as well. And then in terms of his eyes, I would just do a little ambient occlusion or contact shadow or something just to set the eyes in a little bit more. That's kind of a big thing with him, is just getting his eyes to set in. And then, oh, this would be a big bonus too, is getting we've talked about the inverse shaping on the iris of the eye. So like, since the light is coming up from underneath and the iris is concave, like it's dimpled in a little bit, you're going to want the top part of the iris to be a little bit brighter than the bottom part and shape them up that way. I think that'll add a lot more depth and dimension to the eyes, but I think that would be a good one there. And then same notes in terms of the value for the color version. Actually, because this specular highlight has some different hues, it looks a little bit tighter here. His eyebrows are looking a little strange on this one. His eyebrows should match his hair color. And then I would add a little bit of darkness, and probably this one in the black and white one too, a little bit more ambient occlusion into his nose to allow that allow that to feel like a cavity in there. But yeah, same notes, a little bit more shaping on the ears, yeah, just kind of set back the eyes a little bit. But I think these are a lot of fun. I think these are looking great. All right, Nicholas, I saw you here. Hello. Okay, you got a lot of notes from me and Francesco on this one, but I just wanted to show this guy off and say what a brilliant job you're doing with this. I know how hard you've worked. And yeah, so it sounded like, just updating the teeth a little bit, doing some eye work. I think that this too, I'm realizing that can go a little bit brighter, but I just wanted to, we already have a lot of notes for you and I don't want to add more right now. But I think that you are definitely on the right track. And I feel like this is heading in a really nice direction. I'm really excited to see the final product. But sorry, that's not the best. That's not the best one. But yeah, I wanna just say that I think it's going really well, and I'm really excited about the product that you're creating. Let's see. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm seeing here. I know there are other comments, and I'm clicking. Oh wait. Oh, it just says who the comments are from. Ah, perfect. All right. So Jonah, Fran, you're here. Let's see. Oh, Fran, I thought we had. Fran, did we have one for you? Let me know. Let me know if I missed one. I thought we had one for you. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, Trent. Oh, Trent, I'm not seeing one for you either. If you guys are here just to like hang out, that's totally fine. Yeah, keep going, Nicholas. You got this. Jen Soria. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I know in your comments, you said you weren't matching the color perfectly because you were trying to match up to this background, and that's totally fine. So let's talk about this in terms of not about the color. So you're feeling a lot of silkiness in the garments, and I think that's great. A lot of specular highlights all over this thing, on the nails, on the fingers, across the hair, the eyes here. Just like a lot of specularity, and that comes from the darkness of the image. So when you have a very dark image, you're going to want to utilize the specular highlights to create some shaping. And although we're not matching the color perfectly, there's It's just like a two-tone color setup where we've got warmer tone on one side, a cooler tone on the other, and then a character over a blurred out background to get us to make sure to read on the character there. But lots of shaping. Like look at how all these wrinkles across the blazer are just kind of coming out, and it's really, really nice. Okay, so that's our reference point. So you're getting some good stuff here. Like you've got the depth of field happening now, and I think that's working really well. I would like a slight tonal shift on the background. It's matching up a little bit closely to the foreground. And also your light feels a little bit purple and compared to the background, which feels a little bit more blue. The eye is nice and bright, but it feels like it's a little bit popping off. Like it's a good place to be, because it's like you pushed it too far. Now we just need to pull it back in a little bit. I think we can still get some more specular highlights and just like variation along there. This line on the hat could be a little bit softer, but I like that we're getting some textural elements in there. But the biggest thing is getting some more dark elements on this side of the face in here. So we've got a light source coming in from back here. And that should really function as like a strong rim light that's happening here. And then if you want to add a secondary light source of a street lamp coming in this way, that's cool, but that should feel secondary and not quite as bright. And then that'll allow this interior part of him to go a little bit darker, and we'll be able to create some more shaping that way. For the ground, this is a tricky one, because like this ground texture, I'm sure works great at human scale, but the problem is that we are much lower and it's starting to break the illusion a little bit. And that we can see that it's a flat plane with an image projection of rocks on it. So I would either make it more of a pavement surface and add a displacement to it, or make it something a little bit like that's naturally a little bit flatter. And then in terms of integrating this with the background a little more, I would like to see a buildup of this haze. So it kind of goes from nothing, 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 and then there's a line across here, and then this is all hazy. I would like to see like the way that you added some nice buildup on the depth of field. I want to see that same type of buildup on the haze there. Yeah, and then for this fill light, you can probably go ahead and soften that a little bit. But I do like that you're getting some of these details in here. I think that's looking really nice. You are getting some specular highlight here on that part of the wing. It looks great, because bat wings are super leathery and gross. I shouldn't say gross. I should be more respectful than that. But they're a little bit leathery and batty. I'll just say that. Okay, but this is a good start. I think you're heading off just fine. All right, and Fran's just watching with Nick Offerman. That works for me. Dana, okay. Dana, you are here. And sorry. Get back. Oh, no. There we go. Sorry. This Zoom window just is always in the way. And I accidentally clicked stop sharing my screen when I meant to click Dana. All right, Dana, we have a few submissions here. Oh. Yeah. All right. So we've got this one here. This is looking really nice. For those that don't know, this was a submission a couple weeks ago by one of our committee members. And he was I reached out to him, and I love this model. We actually just had one of our students say like, hey, do you have any photorealistic black birds? And I was like, I don't. And then this popped up, and I was like, you know what? So we reached out, and we went ahead and acquired this asset, and it's now available to all of our students in the character lighting course. So I'm very excited that you were able to utilize him. So this is great. Character's looking good. I think that we can add a little bit of a edge wrap in the comp here around the beak. I think that'll help a lot. There's a darkness that's kind of happening, and it's hard to tell. It might just be from the background, but I would just maybe get some of these green values to wrap around here so that it doesn't feel like there's a black halo around them. It kind of feels like there's a black halo down here too. So just watch out for that. That might be in the comp as well. And then, but the biggest thing is, I don't know where these are coming from, but like, do you see like these, like this shape in here? Not quite sure what's causing that. It's bizarro. It might just be in the shader. Maybe the shader needs to be rebuilt. But keep me posted on that. Let me know if that's, maybe just save a different scene and then just throw in like one dome light and see if it's causing that. Or maybe turn off your lights one at a time and see if it's being caused there. But I'm not crazy about these doubled up shapes. In terms of the character himself, I think, yeah, I'm liking this level of value in the white fur because this can be really, really tricky. But the only other thing that I would do is just add a little bit of, and I'll go ahead and do it now, a little bit of a diffusion over top of all of this. I went and copied the original, screened it back over top of itself, and then just added a little bit of diffusion overall to it. This is probably a little heavy-handed, but something in here just to add a little bit of glow overall, and it really kind of ties the whole image together. Especially on like an image with these brighter elements, they look a little crispy and a little hard-edged, so it just kind of helps soften that whole thing. But I think this is looking really, really nice. Maybe some more black specular or blue specular highlights up in here, but other than that, I feel like you're fine. And then just watch the edge of this in the depth of field. I feel that edge feels a little bit crispy, but really great job. The dome light is causing it. I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, cool, great. As long as you're on it, keep digging. And if you, yeah, let me know what's going on. If you need to, if you need instead to just maybe create a very large area light up above, if that helps, like changing up the light source, even a very, very large radius spotlight could do the trick to simulate what you're getting out of the dome light. So don't feel like you absolutely have to use a dome light. There are other ways around that if that helps. Right. And then, okay, we've got Mr. Bean here. His color's looking a lot better. We definitely need to drop in his eyes a little bit more because you got the value up now. Let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna ghetto put in an ambient occlusion here. That's gonna be too big. Let's see if I can do this. So what I usually like to do, ooh, that was a bad drawing. I'm doing it on a trackpad here. So usually what I like to do is run an ambient occlusion pass just for the eyes. Or if it's a still, you can also get away with running an edge detect on just like an eye matte. And then you want to darken that a little bit because we want them to kind of like, because your eyeball is set slightly back from your eyelid. We kind of just want to set those back into space just a little bit. Ugh, this isn't going to work well. Something along these lines. Actually, might be too, probably can't. Yeah, that's not going to work. I should have done a brighter color. Why did I do black? Ugh. Or a warmer color. But basically you want to do something like this to kind of set the eyes back into space a little bit more. And then in terms of and then the other area that I would really focus on is the specular highlights on his hair. We'll do this color. They are, again, they're pretty broad. So go ahead and tighten them up a little bit. And then watch out, there's a couple of hot spots on his skin here. And I would just watch out for those. Like here, his skin's kind of weird. Like it's got some undulation to it and it causes some weird shapes. So just watch out for those hot spots, tighten up the specular highlight on his hair. And also it is now starting to feel a little bit on the blue side. Let's see if I can color correct that. I know we were worried about that before, but so like maybe something a little bit more in this range here would be good. And just so you guys know, if you need to go back and check, that's weird, why is that? If you need to go back and check any of my notes, we do post all of these. Well, these are on Facebook Live, so they'll be saved here. But we've got the full res or a higher res version of these notes on our YouTube channel. So something a little bit less blue like that. And I only say that because that just happened to me where somebody gave me notes at work on something and I was like, yeah, and I wrote them down and then I looked at my notes a little while later and I was like, what the heck did I just write? So I had to go back to the Zoom recording of it and get to that. So it was actually notes that Jasmine gave me. So Sorry, Jasmine, I did not take good enough notes on your stuff the first time around. Okay, so we've got some updates here. It looks like you added a, is there a pattern now on this that there wasn't there before? Is that true? But I love that we're seeing some light here on the, and I guess, oh, this is just the key light now. Yeah, so sorry, to catch everyone else up, I asked Dana to only submit her key light from this just to get some more, but I love, it's working out a lot better now. So we're getting some more patchiness of it. I love that we're seeing this doorway now. I love that we're getting some more depth, getting shaping along here. I think this is working much, much better. And this is feeling a lot more natural too. And I love, and again, this is what newer renders will give you. Even though there's just like one light coming in, we're still feeling that secondary effects of that bounce light coming back up from the street back up this way. And that feels really nice. So I don't have much to say here other than I think this is working pretty well, and we can go ahead and start building from here. Because again, for those that don't know, we were working on getting our attention back here on this building and kind of downplaying some of these and just creating some space coming back here. But yeah, I think that's working pretty well. I added the gobo. Yeah, you did a great job. You can also add light blockers if you're using Arnold too. Those, I find those to be a little bit easier to work with. Let's see. Is there anybody else that's live that we want to get to? Sorry, as comments are coming in, we're kind of things are kind of getting pushed back. Luis, this is you, right? Okay. This one is very cool. I would, and I don't remember, I don't think, no, you had an image up of, sorry, that's my son's baby monitor. He's okay. Yeah, you had an image up of your 3D scene. I was wondering if you had reference here. So this is an interesting one because you have a similar texture over top of the entire car. I would almost want to see like, I mean, if that's the style, that's totally fine. But I would like the tires, especially to get those darker. And then this area is getting a little, like it's a little bit, it's a little bit burning out on a couple of these points. And I'm not against going too bright, and I'm actually fine with it on the front of the car, but back here, I would just like to see it toned down a little bit because I really want to, like, this is almost like us focusing in on the eye, and I think that would work out well if that was the brightest part and like kind of just blurring our eyes and looking at it, and then looking here. I'm wondering if we should go ahead and brighten some of the darker elements in there. Just because it's like, it feels like there's just light emanating, like super light glowing out of there. And I would almost feel like it would kind of drown out the darker elements. In terms of these lights that are on back here, it feels like it's the whole thing. And it would be great to get some more variation in there. Like where you would see more of a bulb in the center, and there'd be a very slight variation difference between the center and the edge. And then in terms of, just because we're on this abstract background here. No, I was gonna say something dumb. I was gonna say it feels like there should be like, this would be easy, and it could be easy enough to do, where you would just, animate the tires rotating and animate the ground sliding across, and then just turn motion blur on, and it would really feel kind of zippy with the car kind of super crisp and everything else like kind of motion blurred. And then I would also consider darkening the background slightly, just to get because you're doing a good job of popping saturation off of the background, or maybe just bringing this blue element down lower, just because I would really like for the warm tones to pop off of cool tones, because right now it's kind of warm on warm a little bit, and yeah, and then in terms of this area, just take that down just a touch so you can get some more variation in there. But I think this is looking really nice overall. Oh, Clever, you're here as well. Well, welcome back, Clever. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. But Luis, this is looking really, really good. Oh, Clever, we don't have one for you. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to, I think we've got everyone that is here. And please, please, please tell me if I'm missing anyone. Please scream at me in the chat window or over here in Zoom. All right. So now we will just we will play we just hop on. Oh, you know, I'll just do this one. So Hari Jax. I really liked the simplicity of this one. Like, I really liked the idea of just using simple objects to in a silhouette to kind of tell the story. I think this is working pretty nice. I would like to see some more light wrap around this tree here. I mean, I would like the sun to kind of get brighter and glow up a little bit. Really like get much brighter. Actually, we can do overall. Like even somewhere in I don't know, let's go and really push it. Like somewhere up in this neighborhood, and then create some more glows and just some more of a sense of, yeah, like really bright light. Just go ahead and, too much, but something a little bit more like that. And then in terms of the shaping on the actual objects, there's a couple places where things kind of break down because it's close to feeling, it's just like this flat, ear shape there is like, oh, well, that feels very flat. Like that doesn't feel like there's actual, like this feels like there's some more shaping happening there. I would like to see a little bit more of the light influencing the ground, just a touch more, just to create like a sense of the depth, and then really hit this horizon line with a little bit of a horizon blur. And I think that'll really help out a lot. Let's see. Okay, this one, wait, oh, sorry. Oh, Jonah, you were here too. Sorry, Jonah, I apologize. I love this image overall that you're creating. I think it's really clever. I think it's really unique. I think it's a lot of fun. And again, I think that you're matching it really well. There's only two elements that I saw that I think that you can improve upon. One is just getting some more fill light in this top part of this character. I think you can integrate, because I think that'll help integrate it and with a little bit better with the background. Lessen some of that darkness as we're going up there. And you can see like the extra fill light will really help on the hands too. And then the other major thing would be to get some more saturation in the clouds, like just really kind of hit those warm values in there. And then you can brighten up the clouds a little bit too, overall, especially this one back in here. Oh, there we go. But I really love this, the look that you're going for. And I think you've got a lot. I think this is fun. I think it's a really fun thing. I like your Houdini scene that you created there. All right, we'll do Hisham's here. So Hisham, we've got, I think this is coming together well. You're shaping this up a lot better. We're getting some darkness in the foreground that really centers us back here. The next thing that I want to do is the brightness. And actually, I made that too big. Like just right here is too bright. Because I feel like this area is getting hit by the key, and this area is getting hit by the bounce, the secondary elements of that key. And I feel like I want to kind of flip those values a little bit. So I would darken this and brighten this. But I love the shaping that you're getting kind of around the room here. There's a little bit of, like I would just add a little bit more contrast right here. Let's see if I can do that. Let me do it this way. Just something a little bit more like that. Just to get to pop forward a little bit more. Yeah, now I'm like just kind of looking around the room at some secondary stuff to see if there's any way we can push some more shaping into some of these objects. But they're feeling pretty well shaped up. It's just a matter of this main chair, just like really kind of focusing the light values closer to the light source. And I think that'll get us in a long way. In terms of the night version, this is a good improvement over your last one. I think that we can push by the way, love this kind of like specular highlight that's coming across here. That's really, really nice. I feel like we could push more light from this fireplace into the room and kind of allow like some really subtle specks just kind of all over. Really, it's the specularity of it, because it would almost be like a reflection in some of these objects. So just kind of allowing some of the warmth to kind of spill out over the room a little more. I'm wondering about taking down the brightness on this a little bit. Yeah, let's make this the primary light source and kind of take this one down. So this is and then also this pot would get brighter, right? If there's like a flame up underneath it. And I'm wondering too, like, it also feels very much like there's just a light source in there. At some point we should figure out a way of getting a visible fire element. Like, and you can even just comp that in, like a photo of a fire or something. You don't actually have to build that if you don't want to. So I think that'll be good there. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, the first image is yours as well? Hey, Jonah, you're screaming. That's great. Yes, please scream in the chat window. That's perfect. So wait, so the first, you did, wait, okay. So you did both images? That's not the reference? Oh, okay. Wait a second. Come back. I thought that was a reference. I am so sorry. Good job screaming in the chat window. Oh, so that's your updated render. Oh, then it's looking great. Oh, yeah, this looks great. I think that, yeah, you're done. This is good. Yeah, yes, be very proud of yourself. I think that's really, really good. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. I'm so sorry. I do that all the time. Like I said, or sometimes I'll grab like old images from people and they're screaming at me. So yes, excellent job screaming. You're doing good work. All right, we're at 9:55 now. I hope you guys are able to stick with me. This is going to go a little bit longer than normal. So Eric, good improvements on this one from where we were previously. I would soften this line that's going across here. You're getting good rims on this guy. Could use a little bit more on her. And then, yeah, just like a little bit more rim on the front of him here, like really kind of picking up his shoes. And then, yeah, but like this one's starting to come together a lot more than where you started. I think you should be proud of these improvements and the progress that you've been making. And then just a little bit more light on the, you know what, I would almost, just because of the way it's laid out, I would almost take this bulldog and slide him right in there, because he's kind of right behind the girl and we're kind of missing him, and there's a little bit of a dead space right in here. So I would just kind of just scooch him on over there. And I think that'll be a good one there. This is what I was gonna say. So Leon is cheating and using a film that I worked on, and I really liked, I didn't get a chance to work on this sequence, but I've always really liked the lighting on it. So just so you know, these are all guys back here kind of climbing up the wall of this thing. And I got to light a lot of the armies when they were outside, and they were just like a lot of fun, because it was like, how do you light a massive army of critters, like literally massive, like the crowd generator massive. And just so you know, this was epic. This was done in like 2010, 2009. We worked on this, and this was before we could really process these images. So a lot of the crowd stuff was done where you had, like, we never were able to see this image rendered out in one pass because it was just too computationally heavy. It would have been like 200 gigs of RAM to get it to generate. So, and we just didn't, there just weren't any computers to process that. So we had to render these in chunks and really piece them together. So I have very fond memories of this movie. So this is cheating, Leon. But yeah, so I think this is a good reference. I think that it depends on what you're going for. You may have put this in the comments and I'm forgetting now, but I think that the green is, maybe you're going to be animating the green light on. The green is tough on him because he is a warm toned character. He has like some rich reds and oranges in his skin tone, and the green's really going to kind of wash him out. So let's start with this. So the first thing is, I think your dark elements are good. I think your bright elements could go a lot brighter. And also all of this is being lit by diffuse lighting. Like if you looked at the diffuse versus the specular, Whereas this, you're getting a lot of specular highlights. These rocks there's going to be some moisture in the air. There's going to be moisture on them. And so their highlights are going to be a little bit sharper than what we're seeing here. So this is a little bit more of a dry, dusty rock. And you want it to feel a little bit more of a specular highlight on there. Especially on this one, like this one's got some really nice shape on it, and it just adds a lot more variation. In terms of the character lighting, we can definitely get his face to pop off a little more and more shaping on the hat. There's some good variation in here and picking up the kind of the contour of the wings, but you can push some specular highlights. Again, that leathery bat wing is going to get a lot of specularity you got here. Watch out for the brightness on the collar. And then just really kind of brighten up what we're seeing on the face. For this green light coming up here, it almost feels like it needs to be stronger. Like it feels like it's kind of, it just feels like it's like gently being pushed in. And this feels like something that if it was the underlighting from, I think you had the underlighting from Zootopia, like it's a really strong underlighting. And if you really kind of play it up and push and play it up and really push that value strongly. So there's this, yeah. So I think you can just kind of push the values overall, push the specularity both in the character and the environment, and then find some more opportunities to get shaping on the character, and also find more opportunities to get the character to pop off in the background. So Jordan, this is a really nice image. Overall, I like the setup. I like the color scheme. It's really pretty. It's very soft. Few areas that I saw that you could improve upon was there's just down here. I lost my cursor. Down here in the foreground, there's like this patch of grass is nice and contrasty, but then everything else down here in the water is very flat. And same thing over here. And it just feels like there would be like some light specular hits down here to kind of go along with all the brightness from the light around. In terms of, I'm not crazy about all these lights being on inside the home, just because if there's this much light coming in outside, I almost think that it would be better compositionally if those were darker and allowing those dark elements to pop off over the very bright background. Because now you're lifting those to a similar value of the surroundings, and it would be nice to kind of contrast that. It would be nice on these leaves of this tree if there was a little bit more subsurface scattering going on, because you wouldn't, the back sides of them, if they're being hit by this much direct light, they wouldn't get that dark. They would almost kind of glow on the back end. And then, I think it's a pretty good start. And then this part of the tree is getting hit a little broadly and a little flatly. And then this part back here, you might want to sneak some more key light on there just to create some more shaping. But I think this one's coming along really nicely. All right, let's spin the wheel. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about, there you go. Stefan's got the Lego scene. I downloaded both of these. Yeah, we can just talk about this one. So I think this is looking really nice. I love the glow that you're getting from the bright highlights. And you're also creating some really, really, really nice bounce light around the room. This is like classic, perfect sense of light shining in and then just kind of bouncing up all over the place. And I love the amount of the value and the shaping and stuff we're getting back here in the bathroom is really, really cool. You could go a little darker up top here just to kind of keep our focus down there. And I'm wondering if we couldn't go a little bit darker in the far background back here, just to get the character to pop off a little more. But other than that, I think it's looking really good. And then, the thing I noticed too is that this green saturation is just, unless it plays a stronger role elsewhere, it's the most saturated thing in the image. And I would just like to tone this down just a little bit. You can make it like that. So just a little bit less to kind of take us away from it. But yeah, overall, this is looking really good. Love the shaping in here. Love what we're feeling on this guy. So yeah, you should be proud of this one as well. And congratulations. I meant to tell you too that I saw that your image that you posted last week was featured on ArtStation Instagram page. And I got super excited because I was like, hey, I know that guy. So but congratulations on that. That's very cool. All right. Abhishek. So we've got a few from here. Man, you are busy. By the way, I should mention this of all of you. The productivity that you guys are demonstrating here is really, really, really impressive. The amount that you guys are able to produce in a short period of time, like I'm blown away by it, frankly. So I did want to say that. Okay, we're at 10:04. I don't want to shortchange anybody, but I am going to lose my voice here pretty soon. So let me keep things moving along. And I promise I won't get sidetracked anymore. So someone mentioned this in the comments, these dark values. Yeah, you just want to lift those, and because they don't really feel like buildings when they're flat and dark like this, because they would, even if there were no lights on in the windows, they would still be reflecting the light surrounding it. And so I'd really encourage you to find some reference for these. And then these warmer colors are a little bit too saturated. And then I'm not quite sure where the green color is coming from. So I would just say for this one to just go back and find some reference and to build from in front of like a futuristic city, maybe like a Blade Runner type scene or something like that, because you're going to need some more aerial perspective, atmospheric scattering, whatever you want to call it, to really kind of feel the depth of this. And also just like I'm not quite sure what's causing this lighting underneath the spaceship. Like there just seems to be a lot of light coming up underneath him there. So just maybe go back, check out some reference, and then and retweak it from there. Let's see. Wait, so is this? Yeah, so this is the reference. Okay. I can't even tell if this was the reference for, maybe this was the reference for that. Maybe that's where you're getting your warm colors from. Well, in that case, yeah, you can see like the haze and stuff and the value difference between these super darks in the foreground and falling back. So you can see the reflections in the windows. Yeah, I guess you can go as saturated as this, but it still feels a little bit like these feel even more than these, because I guess it's because there's that haze kind of softening it a little bit. But I would just kind of match these colors a little better, match the haze, and then really reinvestigate like the lighting on the cars, because they're either going to be lit from the sky or they're going to be self-illuminating. And then, okay, I think you had some other ones too. Yes, these three. Cool scene. I would almost want, just from a compositional standpoint, I would almost want this to be pulled down a little bit, just so it's like, because you would almost want it to be just like right, kind of like you would want the focal point to kind of fall right across this diagonal. And right now it's a little bit pushed up and off to the side, not quite in the center of the image. So something to consider there. Although maybe you're trying to make it look like bigger and taller than life. So you're getting good shaping across here. I would like to see some more like a value shift from up here to down here. Maybe some light wrap around on the edges of these buildings so they can integrate better with the sky. And I want to feel more, so the surroundings of this are all this kind of cool gray. And I want to feel that more in here and a little bit less on the darkness side. For this one here, the key light's getting too red. I think that you can pull that back a little bit. Actually, it's just getting, the red itself is just getting too saturated. So just pulling that down a little bit, just to kind of match up with these colors a little more. This area is a little confusing to me. I'm not quite sure if we're seeing through this glass and then out the other side. It just looks like whatever I'm seeing here is brighter than what's around it. So that feels a little odd to me. I think we were talking about this with another image. So between these two, you want to change the position of the key light, because right now it just feels like you're shifting colors. And I would really like for you to push yourself to make sure that the lighting is unique for each one of these. Where like this one is nice because it's all kind of internally lit. And I would really push this to be different even more. So I would allow the outside of these to get darker and really emphasize the living, breathing component of these buildings. Now the interiors are really popping out. So this is great how they're interacting with each other. Like the light coming out of this is shining out of this rock. I would just like to see more of this surrounding get darker overall. So have the sky where it is, maybe to saturate the sky a little bit. It feels a little saturated blue, but then really push yourself to tell the story of what's going on inside these buildings. Yeah, I think it's a good project. I just want to challenge you to make sure that they're more different than each other. All right, Nian, I believe is how your name is pronounced. I apologize if I mispronounced that. For this one, crazy setup, man. This quarantine situation is very different than what's going on in my house. So I think that I get that it's a dark room, but I think we can push the brightness to get these characters to read a little bit more. Just because they're kind of like, we want them to pop a little bit. So maybe something more along this value area. And then the shaping on this character is good. I want to see more like a little bit more light on her face, and just to get a little bit more of a read off of that. This rim light is nice, but it's super intense. I guess it's because I made it brighter. Yeah, no, it's still pretty super intense. Same thing on these guys here. So maybe it's super intense and also just like a hard line around the edge. So maybe just like wrap that around a little bit more on them, and then give a little indication of something bright out there. That's the light source for that. And then I'm not quite sure why you're seeing it up here. It almost feels like there's light like coming downward and shining up this way. So yeah, so it would really feel like it would be coming into the window and hitting them, and not much of the ceiling. I really like the lighting it's getting on the ground. But then also, think about it this way, like if it's coming in and hitting them this brightly, it would also kind of, you'd feel some of the effects in here as well. Very cool there. All right. So, got some reference here. Spider-Man-y goodness. And you name dropping yourself. That's lovely. I think that's pretty cool. I think you get more shaping on your masked villain here. So look at the amount of shaping on this one coming across here. Like super shaped up, super light to dark fall offs. Where here it's like the value of the cape is pretty even across. And I think you can push that harder. I think that you can push more variation in the background. So even in this super simplified background, there's like darker darks in the foreground, and those kind of step up as you fall back in a distance. Same deal here, fall back in a distance, fall back in a distance. Where yours, it's kind of the same depth value throughout. And those would be, yeah, that would be my biggest ones. And then these vertical strips, it would be really cool to get some more variation in those, especially this one. That's a terrible circle. Especially this one. I would just really like to feel like, because it just feels like a 2D shape right now. And same thing with these down here. So make them feel like neon, make them feel like something a little bit more impressive. And then I think you can also, as you're kind of adding some aerial perspective or atmospheric scatter, I think you can also push some of the brights on these building lights as well. So you can really kind of push those brighter. But yeah, just get some shaping on the character, add that atmospheric scatter, and I think that that's coming together pretty well. All right, Selwyn, take a look at this for a sec. Yeah, I think this is working well. Just watch out, these orange leaves are kind of popping out a little bit too much to me, just because you have a nice overall desaturated look of the scene, and those are the only things that are coming across as being much more saturated. That being said, I think that we could maybe push some more warmth onto the girl, just like a little bit, like in this region here. That's too much. Maybe something along those lines. I think that would help a lot. But other than that, I think this is looking really good. And then maybe just some more warm bounce up underneath this mushroom. So because like light coming in, hitting the ground, and just bouncing up under there to create a little bit more shaping. And then just double check the depth of field on like the edge of this mushroom here and these over here. It just feels like there's a hard line and then it gets super blurry. It's almost like a bokeh effect. But just double check that for me if you don't mind. But I think that one's coming together well. Saravana, yeah, this is a really cool reference. Love this animated short. It's really, really cool. We actually did a sequence in Rio that looked very similar to this. But yeah, I really like this overall. I think just a few minor things to really push this and help make this better. I think you can push this as being much more of a car light that's kind of shining downward. It feels like just like a spot, like a point light here, and you can really use it here. Like it looks much nicer on this car back here. Additionally, looking at the characters, I'm actually wondering if it's a tricky one because I'm trying to figure out a way to frame them up a little bit more. No, I think that works. I'm just worried that this is pulling attention too far downward. But I think it's okay. Try it maybe without the headlight on too, and see if you like that better. Don't feel like you definitely have to have that on. This reference, yeah, the way that this is nice and dark there, and allows us to focus in here. The one thing too that I like about this one is the moisture on the window, not because it's like super real, but it's also kind of diffusing the light inside, so we're not getting super bright spots. And what that does, so we wouldn't see these as much. And what that does is it allows us to focus more on the characters. And then because of their translucence, we're able to see more light on the front of them. But I think that you can also increase play up their fill lights just a little bit more. Not like a super amount, but just enough for us to kind of really read their warmth. Something along that line could really help them out a little bit. And then yeah, and you can push these brighter elements on the buildings back over here as well. You make those just a touch brighter. All right. And oh, there's a question. Sorry. Oh, you're welcome. Sorry. You probably wrote that a long time ago, and I'm just seeing that question now. Oh no, you just wrote it. Okay, cool. All right, Saravana. All right, so Nian. Okay, so sorry, you had two of these. Good fire. I want to see glow from this fire coming out here. I want to see the fire influence up here. I want to see like, yeah, I want to feel the influence of the fire. There feels like there's some kind of neutral light in there. Let's get rid of that and really push this warm orangey fire out into the space a little bit. And then really make it, and I like this rim that we're getting from the blues. I would just tone that down, push up the warm light, kill the light that's up here, and then make it about those two things. Get some more specular highlights in these elements in here. And then for these candles, just have them be like little pockets of light here and there. So have them hit the walls a little bit more. I'm not quite sure what that shape is. Maybe just eliminate that. And then in terms of the character, yeah, shaping, bat wings, man, leathery, specular highlights. Get some more bump in the hat. Man, his face is tricky. Yeah, just trying to think. Maybe push this so it's a little bit more, push the light a little bit more around screen right so it's not quite hitting all of his nose here. We're just kind of like really kind of focusing on his eye in that area. Maybe give that a try, but definitely warm it up overall a little bit. All right, our very dear friend, Calabrasa Muele, one of our original, back when we were TDU students when we relaunched a couple years ago. Welcome back. Hope everything's going well for you. Great job getting more shaping on the nose. Love this. I think the eye can go a little bit brighter. Like the darker part of the eye here can go a little less saturated and a little bit brighter. Just looking at the whites there. And then, I'm just gonna do that. Oh, no, 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 no. It's kind of a janky mock up here, but what's that? Just a little more value in the fill areas there. I wonder if we've gone a little bit too far on the saturation, especially in the warm tones. I like if we just pull back the reds just like a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll look a little bit better. And then same as some of the other comments I said, get some more specularity in these leathery bat wings. I feel like we can do more with his chest as we're kind of zoomed in here. I guess maybe make it darker because I really want to focus in on his face, and I feel like I'm just kind of looking at his chest in there, and I kind of just want to focus in here. So yeah, maybe just darkening this down overall. And then go ahead and add some depth of field to it too. Go ahead and blur up the background. But yeah, I think that's really good. I like what you've done with the ears. I like that you've taken down this. Yeah, maybe, and then also play with softening the shadow just a touch because I can see a little bit of it there. And I really like, by the way, if you get a chance, check out the flicker test. I think the flickering is working really well at this. So I think you should be proud of that one. All right. All right, so we've got, I worked real hard this time. Now I feel bad. I worked very hard this time to make sure that the people with the first names that start with A didn't always get preferential treatment. And now I feel like I've just pushed you guys all the way to the end. All right, so we'll go ahead and go through these real quick. So the biggest one here, Anand, is just more warmth on the candlelight. It's a little bit, even in these, in your reference images, like I like the kind of purpley feel that you're going for. It just doesn't, I think we can just like go a little bit. Let's see if that works. Nope, that's not gonna work. I just feel like we can use that value in some other areas, but I just don't think that it's gonna work as well with a candlelight because it's just like so identifiable as being warm. That just this kind of pinkiness isn't great. There's something wacky going on with the depth of field where it's like, because it feels smaller where it's like, this is in focus and then this is in focus, but then stuff back here is very out of focus. And it's just at this scale, at the small scale, it would be very difficult to get both of these in focus with the lens that we have and the distance that they are apart. So it's either like you got to keep more things in focus, or I would almost allow like this to go out of focus and us to really kind of zero in here. Get some more specular highlights on the bindings of these books because that is the really cool part of old books. Get some more shaping from the candlelight on this scroll, and then just more shaping overall. Like, because otherwise, we're really not. Otherwise we can kind of just zoom in here because like if this was the image over here, there's really not a lot going on in this region here. So either darken this, make more specularity on the books, like add some more visual interest over here on this side. And I think, let's see. Yeah, and then just overall, maybe other than just the candle lights, you can see in the levels, you've got brightness of the candlelight, and then everything else is falling back past the halfway point there. So maybe just push some more bright values into the scene overall. Something like that would be helpful as well. And then I want to see the shadow from this bat onto the wall too. It feels like it should be there. And it's also because there's kind of like strange dark shapes here that I'm not quite sure what those are. They almost read as shadows, but there's nothing that kind of lines up to it. So I would just work on that a little bit. But yeah, it's a good start. You've got some good progress there. All right, Arthur. So you've got a few references here. So the one thing about all of these, or these two references in particular, is the amount of focus in on the eyes. And like the way that like even this is flanked off and we're focused in here. I think that we can do that a little bit more here and create more of a pocket of light right around the eyes. I like the smoke. That looks really cool. I want to get, the smoke almost feels like it's pasted on top, and I want to feel it wrapping around him a little bit more. And then a little bit more tighter specularity in the wings, some more bump on the hat, a little bit more brightness on this side, you know, to add a little bit more contrast. Love this amount of shaping here on the surface that he's standing on with a little bit of bounce light. I also feel like you can play with the I feel like you can play with the environment a little bit more. I feel like you can put some more elements back in here to create some more shaping, or basically it's just that it's over black. And I think we can do, you can add a gradient back here or something to kind of add some more visual interest to that. But I love some of the subtle fall off and the visual shaping that you're getting. Like this value into here is looking really nice. And then just really kind of getting that hyper focus in on the face. Love the shaping that you're getting on the big long top hat. I think that's beautiful. I just want to see some more specular shaping as opposed to just the diffuse shaping. And with that, oh, Anton, sorry, the last one today. And you've got some great work going on here. So I would take away this little spark here and desaturate the sparks overall, because they are a little bit distracting. I would just take this one away just because it's too close to her face, and I really want to focus in on her. Her shaping is looking great. I think we make sure that this is feeling more yellow than everything else, so just color correct that. Other than that, yeah, I feel like it's working pretty great. Maybe take down that specular highlight right there just a little bit. But the arms of this guy are looking great. Shaping across his hat is beautiful. I love the glow of his glasses. They both look so badass. This is fun. And then maybe just get a little bit more specular, or maybe a little more reflection in her goggles up there too. But other than that, yeah. Sorry to make you wait until the end for just a quick critique there, but I think this is, I think you're killing it. I think you're doing a really, really, really great job. All right, everybody. So that is our video critique for the day. I am very afraid to turn this camera back on because I haven't seen myself in the hour and a half that I've been doing this. So we'll see, because I have a tendency to play with my hair a lot and make it bigger now that we're in quarantine and think, oh yeah, it got bigger. Okay, very cool. Let me hop over to Facebook here. Always great reviews. Thank you, Kleber. I hope you guys do find these beneficial. I really love doing them. They're keeping me sane in my life when I'm working from home while with an 18-month-old while trying to work full time. It's a challenge. So you guys give me some levity and some sanity, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. You guys are so inspirational. Like I said, the quality of the work and the amount of the work that you all are producing is just awe-inspiring. It really is. I got to get my butt in gear and make more work. You guys have inspired me to keep creating and keep going. Thank you everyone for submitting. I look forward to doing this again next week. On Monday, remember again, we're doing a Let's Light, so we're progressing with that animated scene. Like I said, I'm 80% nervous that I'm going to mess it up live on camera, but you gotta give yourself a try sometimes. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions or if I miss anything, and I look forward to seeing more work from you this weekend and into next week, and before we do this again next Friday. All right, have a good night, everyone. Have a great weekend, and happy lighting to all of you.